Alright, welcome to more Meta Madness action! Sorry that we don't have a draft for this one, I'm gonna go over why in a second, but let's introduce our players today. We got Khaldor going up at Exodia, and over on the left side, it's starting off wild today. We have Cho'Gall, Bronek on Gal, we got Machko on Cho, Lavakal with Anna, Arian on Zeratul, and Itrax on Falstad for the blue team. As on the right side of the map, in red, we got Exodia with Dino on Tyrael today, Disciple on Suljin, Hazobs is playing Thrall, Hunter Orc on Urel, and Yazu on Tyrande. Starting things off with the True Shot Aura on level 1, so a slight adjustment already made. But yeah, we got some spicy ones over here, so this should be quite a bit of fun. Now, once again, guys, we don't have a draft for this series, unfortunately. The same is also going to be true for the upcoming 2 matches. The reason is actually fairly simple, and for me quite unfortunate. I had an accident on Saturday. A little bit of bad luck coming together. At the end of the day, I fell when I was riding with the bike, and yes, it's the second time this year. I went 2 years, 2.5 years without any kind of crashes and accidents, and this year, after some awesome results in several races, apparently I'm now paying for that good luck and for those good results with a little bit of bad karma and some bad luck. So currently I fell, and the problem is I fell into the corner of a house wall. Let me just tell you, I wouldn't recommend to repeat that exercise at home. This hurt quite a bit, and I actually thought that I had ribs broken, so I had to go to the hospital, needed to be checked out. Thankfully, no broken bones, but some pretty brutal bruises and a huge hematoma there. So, yeah. Laughing hurts, coughing hurts, sneezing is bad, blowing your nose is a nightmare, sleeping obviously not a lot of fun either, but thanks to all of this I could not cast the games live, so these are all casted from replays. But we have apparently some really fun stuff going on here. 16 heroes are by now pre-banned, Thrall is gone, and that's the end of Suljin, so all of a sudden we have Khaldor starting things off with a double kill. The Polish team in blue doing well here. So this should be actually a pretty interesting one. But as I just said, we have more heroes now banned. We still find ourselves in the round robin of Meta Madness. More and more heroes essentially banned every single week. And then as we're heading into the playoffs, obviously that list will be frozen. We will have best of 5s at that point in time. Currently every single series plays out 3 maps, and each map is 1 point for the leaderboard. So that's what the teams are currently fighting for here. And especially Exodia, obviously, with a lot of ambitions to establish themselves very high up in that leaderboard, having a great start into the playoffs then, and aim for the championship. We have 2,000 euros of prize money on the line, fully sponsored by myself this time. Of course, also with the help of everybody supporting the stream and the channel over on patreon.com/Khaldor. If you want to become a supporter, there's a link in the description that you can check out, or you can just simply head directly to patreon.com/Khaldor. As I always say, best way to support the stream and the channel, and without the help of all the supporters there, we wouldn't have been able to host tournament after tournament over the last 6-7 years since Blizzard cancelled HGC. So thanks for helping Heroes Esports alive. So yeah, with that said, we're now jumping in with 3 kills to 0. So this is actually a really nice opening for the blue team. So far, things are going very well for them. Suljin is slowly getting stacked here. Itrax able to get out, that allows them later on to play around globals a little bit, I would assume. I love, by the way, also that we got Mech Onek once again. Khaldor has in the past already played a fair amount of Cho'Gall, and they're just not afraid of busting him out once more. So seeing this already in our first game here, definitely quite a bit of fun as the shots are being exchanged. Now we have, with the True Shot Aura over on the side of Yazu, now of course also a bit of a spec into the power of Suljin himself. Disciple on the hero currently. As you might have already guessed, there was a little bit of subbing going around. Benny apparently could make it, so Dino swapped over into the tank role for the team. And Disciple is currently helping out here too. Now with level 4 we get the Armani hide. The final altar, the third one, was taken by Exodia, so while they are slightly behind in experience and kills, they were able to get ahead on the objective. And now they're going for Cho'Gall! Mech Onek might be in a little bit of trouble here, still able to get away. Dino is attempting to follow this up for a bit, but might find himself in more trouble than all of this was worth it. Still, with Cho'Gall finally having to retreat here, the red team now has a bit of momentum down at the bottom of the map. At least. So they're starting to push in for this. Disciple keeps on stacking, so he's currently on 7 stacks. Falstad sitting on 32 with level 7 talents now available on both sides. which gives us also Ancestral Wrath. Really cool talent also going up against Cho'Gall here, a little mini nuke that you have. But damn, Suljin is not having a great day, does he now? 3 kills against Suljin alone already. Thrall fell too. Apparently being green is not really a sign of good luck today. So with that said, probably Karen is going to be next. Tyrande, the Karen of the Storm, at least with that hair color. But we'll see. Now, for the time being, we have still a slight advantage for Rospedol in regards to experience. If they can leverage that throughout the game, that could give them some momentum to potentially take a bell tower. But of course, with the objective so far going fairly well for Exodia, they are going to be looking to try and lock in the next 2 that are spawning now on the vertical spawn here. On level 7, we got double trouble for Gal. For Cho, we got the enraged regeneration. Which in and of itself is, by the way, a really fun one. So basically you're getting angry and you're healing yourself. This is something that I could use too. I mean, I can rant on command. You give me a topic and I can get mad about it. Make it puppies. Like, make it bunnies. No problem whatsoever. Like, easy. So, yeah, if you just get a little bit enraged and then all of a sudden you regenerate, oh, that would be amazing. Then I wouldn't even mind crashing on the bike anymore. I would just get mad about it and then immediately heal myself. So, fantastic talent to have. For now, by the way, not so fantastic that Cho'Gall doesn't seem to have a lot of support down here. He nearly went down and should head out of that fight pretty quickly. Lavakal, the support itself, in a bit of trouble. And Ana is now rushing away. And even with them not... Oh, well, actually, scratch that. Ana is indeed dying. So, yeah, Ana is down. Dainu... Can he pay? Yes, he dies too. But wants to get the explosion, can't get it, but gets the minion wave for the explosion at least, so that's nice. The problem, of course, still the same. Exodia now aggressively pushing through the bottom of the map and able to go straight up for that fort. And even with the gust, they can only save it temporarily, I would say. We had each team taking one of the altars with a horizontal spawn, meaning we have now 28 to 32 points on the core. Together with that, we have, with the Cleave build that Zeratul prioritized earlier, now also Void Prison taken, which isn't really all that typical. Normally when we're talking about Zeratul picks, what we usually see is of course Might of the Nerazim that gets taken, and more so a spec into mobility, into a black hole and so on, but here different approach from the team. Sundering is already out as both of them are on level 10 abilities. Judgment, and well, that is Thrall gone. They try to go for Ana again. She is the main target, but Cho'Gall also destroyed. Cho'Gall down, and that's of course bad news. It essentially means that the fight is definitely lost with 3 heroes down the drain. And Exodia is starting to pick up a couple of kills here. So they are locking in 3 more kills, 4 in total. Now down at the bottom of the map, and also take the bell tower. Some decent momentum for the team that is now attempting to claim the top left altar. Arian sitting around here is not going to allow that this easily. But there's a bit more help needed. The problem is, we have now Pumpkins pushing through the bottom of the map, so that's another 2 shots easily fired. Thrall has also channeled the top right, which is another 5, and that puts the blue team down to 21 points on the core. It's not really a nice situation to be in. At least 3 shots fired by Rospedol. The blue team is getting some value, but the situation on the map is still looking pretty grim. They have to retake the bell tower at the bottom of the map. They've now fallen behind in experience as well. So that half-level lead that they were holding on to earlier has now been evaporated, and the red team just simply surpassed them, pushing towards level 13. With lots of aggression and also still the chance to hold that bell tower at the bottom that has so far taken little to no damage. 13 talents are now in play, which means Ensnare is an option for Suljin. This is going to allow them to do a lot more with him, and of course you see Cho'Gall even further. There's 12 stacks for Suljin. He's currently the top damage dealer on the red team. And this is a nice indicator again that damage isn't everything. I mean, you look over to Gal, who's sitting at 31,000 damage, and then Suljin, and there's a massive gap between the 2 top damage dealers for their team. But it's really a question of where you apply that damage. If you're able to dish it out against a single target, or if it is just AoE poke damage, as we're seeing with a lot of what Cho'Gall is currently providing here. Gal himself on 25,000, Falstad 27k, and the team is trying to get to level 13 talents so that they have a better shot there at taking team fights and fighting, for example, for some camps as they currently attempt to do up at the top. With 13 for Cho, we also got Molten Block, so more survivability for Cho'Gall now. And Cho'Gall is generally a character that really scales well into the late game and can be an absolute force to be reckoned with. Lavakal, on the other hand, has the problem that he's been consistently targeted by the opponent, and Anna doesn't have a lot of tools to help her in a situation like that. So whenever Judgment comes in, followed up by a Sundering or maybe even Tyrande, then Anna is in trouble. So positioning is currently everything for Lavakal. He needs to make sure that he finds himself in a real decent spot throughout all these battles, or he's going to be in trouble. Another altar channeled by Sol'Jin, as the blue team is still trying to get that bell tower back at the bottom of the map. But they're now down to 16 points on the core. So not quite, but nearly 50% of points compared to what we see for Exodia. So in game number 1 here in the series, we have at the 10-minute mark a clear advantage for the red team. They're a bit ahead in experience. Nice dash away. Itrax alive. Dainu had to jump out again. But the situation remains the same. The experience lead for Exodia, but more importantly, a massive advantage also on the objective on the core points. Then again, Tyrande just got killed, so if they are able to leverage the numbers a bit, that might help them to claw their way back into this. Sol'Jin is now arriving from the bottom of the map. Cho'Gall needs a lot of heals. Thrall is gone, killed by Gal, and that is 2 kills now for the blue team, which definitely helps them to gain some momentum back. They also reclaimed the bell tower at the bottom of the map, which is already getting attacked again by minions and pumpkins. So this might be a very short period of time where they hold on to 4 of their bell towers if Exodia decides to push here. But still, for now at least, it's still working. 39,000 damage for Gal. We currently have... Oops, down... Well, hello, sir. Sol'Jin barely surviving here. And, well, scratch it, because that's Zeratul saying thank you very much for teeing that up for me. Without a level 20 talent, he's able to get that kill. Has to use the VP to get away, but since the red team is spending all their resources at the top trying to get kills and fight for those altars, we now have down at the bottom of the map a huge attack coming in from Rosperdol as they claim the opponent's bell tower. So this is pretty big. Even with Falstad now dying at the top, if both of these altars are being channeled, that's still 6 shots fired against 5, with Lavakal getting the altar at the bottom of the map. So that puts the red team down to 24 points, but we are going to see Rosperdol drop down to 10 in just a moment. Shots are already fired, and the next fight is coming up as Cho'Gall might be in trouble, but a Molten Block, well executed here, allows them to escape. Thrall missing his stacks again. Hazops, I mean, again, the old man here. He was a few times close to complete the stacks, but you know, aim not all that easy if you're reaching Boomer Age, so at some point it's just getting tricky. Gets another one though, and he gets followed by Tyrande, which means that we're now looking at another kill versus Cho'Gall. 9 kills to 7, and here's the momentum, baby! Dainu has to still be a bit cautious, and there is a gust available for Atrax, if need be. So the bell tower can't quite be claimed, as down at the bottom they at least want to retake. Now in 16 we've seen Leaden Orb. The Void build has been completed with Void Slash, the Cleave build, and we now got Frenzied Fists in too. On level 16 we also got No Mercy as a follow-up to the level 1 and level 7 talent for Sol'Jin, who by now sits at 24,000 damage. It is Tyrael though who's rocking the numbers for them. It's 32,000 overall, with Gal now sitting at 44k. So down at the bottom of the map they finally were able to reclaim the bell tower. The big fight in the middle will soon be joined by the rest of the red team as they're starting to come in. And keep in mind that Thrall with Sundering could always go for a bit of a flank here, which they for now at least decided not to go for. But yeah, off we go. So right now another nice little jump coming as we have also Sol'Jin firing away with that single target damage. Get some big hits in. Same time though, Sundering, VP, and Sol'Jin again with his ult. About to die, but at least gets a few stacks and damage out. He needs his level 20. He's been dying so much during the game. If he gets his level 20, this would help him a ton. Currently that's just not the case. So Cho'Gall now attacked down at the bottom of the map once again. A little bit of a mixed game so far for him, but they are still heavily ahead in kills. 10 kills to 7. It's just the core points that are a bit of a problem for them. And that's obviously all that matters at the end of the day. When the game ends, nobody cares anymore how many kills you got. It's just a question whether or not you were able to take down the core. So, since there's still an experience lead for Exodia, they might be able to get an early level 20, but the fight at the bottom is now centering around Thrall and the Altar. Thrall able to complete his quest 14 minutes into the game. Now even more synergy with that level 16 talent of his. But the Altar gets channeled by Rospedol. They get the 4 shots fired. And they're getting closer and closer. They're applying tons of pressure, and particularly, of course, Cho'Gall himself is doing really, really well here now. So, Meg Onek, Mini Onek over here, with Tyrande helping out a little bit. 101 stacks for Falstad, I should probably add. Falstad is by now on 46,000 damage, which is pretty fair. I mean, that's decent amount of damage that they were able to get out. Now that we have at the top a play for boss being made and Rospedol not contesting it, that essentially means that we're now, for the first time in the game, seeing single digits on the core. The blue team dropping down to 6 right now. So, yeah, this one definitely hurts. Another jump over to the back. Zeratul already gone, but they want more. They want Ana. They go for Lavakal. Once again, Dino at the forefront. But then he gets absolutely murdered. Tyrael is down. Suljin keeping the attack up, but he still doesn't have his level 20 and dies again. Trades his life in damage. By now, Hunter Orc still roaming around here. It's a 3 versus, well, 3. If you count Cho'Gall as one entity, which we should obviously. So they're jumping in again, and they show absolutely no fear here. Maybe they should at least be a little bit afraid for Cho'Gall. Not doing a whole lot on this one. But there is another wave at the bottom of the map that is now attacking the Altar. And you know what? This is actually starting to do work. If Itrax is now coming in and triggers the Inspire buff, this could hurt this even more. Curious also what he's going to pick on level 20. If, for example, going to get Epic Mount again, which might actually help them in this game much more than just going for the typical Mighty Gust upgrade. But, yep, Cho'Gall gets attacked and killed, and oh, that's rough. The opponent has level 20, that also means Amani Resilience, but Cho'Gall being eliminated for an entire minute, this is definitely brutal. With 2 altars up, this could decide the game, for sure. They need to channel both. Even with the bell tower claimed at the bottom of the map, as long as both get taken, it doesn't matter. Here comes the judgment! And it's the end of Ana. Ana is gone, and this is likely going to be game number 1. 5-man team wipe. As the entirety of Rospedol gets murdered. And we have a glorious victory on the first map of the series for Exodia. The first 3 shots fired, the final few are following. And that brings us straight up to game number 2, everybody. Red team takes the lead. Exodia with the W, the victory on Towers of Doom. GG. We're going to head in game number 2 in a second. Guys, if you enjoy the content, if you like the coverage here, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really helps to spread the videos to people that were interested in Heroes of the Storm in the past and might rejoin the game. So spread the love a little bit, help to promote the games here, like and subscribe, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the series. Game number 2! So, ladies, gentlemen, we got the lead for Exodia. The team currently with the 1-0 over here. So, the scoreboard now also properly updated. More or less. Yeah, little kinks to be worked out. But we have now on the left the blue team with Machko on Muradin. We got Arion on Maiev, Lavakal on Zagara, Itrax on Malthael, and Bronek on Malfurion. Over on the right side, we got Exodia with Dino and Anubrok after their victory on the previous map. We see them with Harzops on Greymane. Chen is played on the side lane by Hunter Orc, Disciple on Ophia, and Yasu on Lucio. So Disciple is playing one of his best heroes once again with Ophia. And with the blue team now trailing 1 behind, they went for Zagara here in game number 2. Trying, of course, to use her at the bot lane with Malthael sitting topside. Maiev can always visit and try and make that 1 versus 1 a little bit more interesting. But for now, it's just a typical brawl that we see in the middle of the map. So down at the bottom of the map, we have currently Disciple sitting tight and Machko just doing his thing here against the Nubarak. It's kind of funny to see Dino in the tank role, by the way. It's one of the interesting things when you have tournaments that just last a little bit longer. It's more or less, I mean, it's more or less guaranteed that you always have, you know, a few teams where eventually they will have a weekend where one of their players can't make it into the game and then they play with a sub, which is totally fine, obviously, in the practice that we've used now for years. But then you eventually are also going to see a player forced into a different role, and that can be super, super interesting. And shakes things up a little bit. As long as we're in the round robin here, you know, there's all if you 1 point alone is usually not going to decide your fate in the tournament directly. It depends a little bit on which team we're talking about. Obviously, not everyone from those 7 teams that are currently participating here will make it into the playoffs. And even if you make it into the playoffs, there's a huge difference between you being at the top of the leaderboard or rather towards the bottom. Teams that are getting a high seed into the playoff bracket skip the first round and have a much better starting point here as teams that find themselves at the bottom of the ranking once that the round robin concludes. Level 4 talents are available. A little bit of a lead for experience for Rospedol. Nothing crazy. We haven't seen a kill yet. Might be changed now as they're diving for Malfurion. The Dragonite taken. And the Nubarak is getting kicked out, but Malfurion still dies. The Nubarak is a little bit low, but is able to escape. We have the Dragonite busy in the middle, trying to take that wall out. But that's not the only thing that's getting taken out here. Atrax at the top lane on Marthale gets dropped. So, interestingly enough, we now have everybody focusing on those kills topside, but the Dragonite had therefore more time in the middle to take one of the towers out, and is still active for another 30 seconds. Early Dragonites usually mainly used for their Dragon's Breath. That's where you get the most value. So you can hold one lane by yourself, and then the rest of your team can just push the side lanes as best as possible. But in this case, there's some decent value to be had. One tower down, can damage the second one a little bit. Another Dragon's Breath is already in. The problem that they're suffering is the deaths of the rest of the team, because after Malfurion fell previously, we had now Zagara taken down at the bot lane too. Marthale is still sitting all the way up at the top, whereas down here, with Zagara now eliminated, we have 3 kills to 0 in all for Exodia, which obviously translates into a small advantage in experience. Completely disregarding the fact that the blue team had an objective, but early game objectives that haven't scaled into the later stages yet are just not as strong. You get value out of them, don't get me wrong, you just won't get a lot. So they barely took the wall in the middle, which is, this early, still an accomplishment and something that you can leverage. But again, it doesn't really mean that much. No, Nubarak went into the subterranean shield level 7 after starting things off with Underking on level 4, so goes for a dive comp, and dive they do. They're diving for Maiev, they're diving for Zagara, and they're trying to dive for Malfurion, who also seems to be in trouble here. Hazu, yeah, went a bit too deep though, and gets crushed eventually here, so that he's the first kill for Rospedol. But the red team has already taken down 5 heroes, and this massive battle over the camp at the bottom of the map just continued, with now Marthale dying, Malfurion also dead, and it's a bit of a disaster right now. Exodia was really throwing everything in there that they could, and Rospedol was absolutely happy to accept the challenge, but they lost it, and now we have the Inspire buff triggered on the backline minions. We have Siege Giants doing a huge amount of work together with that mercenary camp from the bot lane to just push for structures, and they have a decent shot at, well, maybe not destroying, but at least damaging the fort here, with Chen and Greymane rotating towards the side lanes now. For Rospedol, it's important to kind of stem the tides a little bit, but the gap in experience is wide. 1.5 level advantage right now for the red team, and they're diving for the next hero at the top, so this time Atrax is getting chased, with Yasuo zipping into his system, running him down. They are easily able to get another kill, and that is now a level 10 with a 2 level gap for Exodia. They are in an absolutely amazing spot here. 8 kills to 1, level 10 to level 8, and even with Orphea now being caught in the middle and dying, it doesn't change the fact that the red team is about to claim the first fort of the game. So a little bit of a battle still going on in the middle, but Greymane uncontestedly takes the first big structure of the game at the top. We now have, in addition to that, the chance for Dragonite for Rospedol. Keep in mind they have level 10 abilities, and Exodia will leverage that as best as they can, completely exploit it here to force a fight against Malfurion, for example, who's just not going to make it. Bronek is going to fall eventually, gets chased down by Fat Illidan as Chen jumps in, and Hazu aims for the Dragonite and gets it. So after they just destroyed the first fort at the top. They now have an opportunity to maybe do some damage here in the middle, take a wall out, potentially even push at the bottom of the map. But they are starting to dive for Zagara again. Miss Squishy is about to go down. Lavakal wants to escape, and Lucio just shuts that down. No chance to get away. Zagara is dead. 10 kills to 2, so an 8 kill gap between the two teams. And the wall indeed eliminated, with the fort already dropped down to 50% of its HP. Still no level 10 for Rospierdoll, and they might lose another hero before they're able to get there. Malthael gets isolated, but is thankfully able to jump out and make it for now. So, yeah, not too bad. By now, we have at the bottom of the map Disciple still doing a bit more work. Both teams at least on level 10 abilities now. The gap in experience has not been closed though. It's still steady at 2 levels. We get Malthael with Last Rites and Malfurion now with his Tranquility. It's gonna be tough for the blue team to come back here. Good creep spec for Zagara at the bottom of the map at least. Mainly on their own side. But hey, you take what you can get. Machko needs to somehow tee them up though. If he can work in tandem with Maiev to just tether somebody to death here, that would do a lot, but it is getting a bit rough for them, I'm not gonna lie. There's a level 13 talent now any second for Exodia, and they are just very aggressive all along already, so these little advantages that they now have will just embolden them further, and immediately we're seeing Dino jump in, and they're always going for the squishies in the back. This time Lavakal makes it out, but barely. They are trying to turn it though, so some really nice aggression, first of all against Yasuo and then against Dino a second later. Chen is coming in from the top, can still completely keck, they want the stuns, and Malfurion is once more dead. So is Maiev. They go for the triple with Muradin getting obliterated. That's 3 heroes down. Even more of a gap in experience, and they can go for the next structures here. Rospierdoll is getting absolutely rolled. Exodia is going through them like hot butter through cheese. Disciple already between Keep and Fort to take the minion waves out. The Fort destroyed, and now with a rotation towards the mid lane, they could eliminate the last one, or try. Blue team is back on the map, so they could technically try and defend this, and they do. But it is a wild second game. This is very far from what we've seen in game number 1, where for the longest period of time it was very, very close. Now, different story. So all of a sudden we're seeing the Dragonite jump in again through the mid lane. This time we're 8-9 minutes into the game, which means this bad boy is already a bit more tanky and will have more of an impact here. Can still tank a lot and get those dragon breaths out to try and slowly burn down the fort in the mid lane. Passive experience is now also tickling down in favor of Rospierdoll. Maiev very much alone though at this point, as the bot lane has to be defended too, with the double camp pushing for it once more. And it's kind of dangerous how quickly Exodia is now progressing towards level 16, considering that Rospierdoll hasn't even locked in a level 13 talent yet. So that would terrify me if I'm on the blue team side. They are struggling, for sure. Chen is jumping up against Itrax, the top lane, but the team Rospierdoll, they are pinned down. They are pinned down in their own base, and it is a difficult one. So currently we got the Hydralisk Transfusion for Zagara, we got Bronzebeard Rage for Muradin, and Siege Giants have now been taken, which would allow them to maybe break through the wall, considering that they have level 16. So we got Epicenter for Anubarak, we get Lord of his Pack, and Dead Magic now, as they are looking for the next kill. Malthael was the intended target, but he was able to get away. Maw and Disc both missing, as the blue team is trying to force something here underneath the towers, but it's just not working out for them. They're too far behind in experience. They're down in talent again, and they're just absolutely getting slacked here. I mean, they're really like a boxer in a corner, just putting up defense and trying to somehow survive through the onslaught that is coming. And the red team is just going for attack after attack. They are punching, going for the next structure, the next objective, the next camp, whatever they can get their hands on. And you can see the keep at the bottom of the map already getting absolutely wrecked here. So 10.5 minutes in, Exodia is absolutely crushing this one. This comes out against the Nubarak and stops him cold, but I don't think that the team will be able to field a successful fight here. Murden goes down, so that already shuts that hope down for good, and it means the end of the keep at the bot lane. Doesn't come as a shock that instantly Exodia starting to march towards the core. We have 40,000 damage for Ophia by now, 35,000 for Maiev, so decent numbers coming in, with the Malfurion dying 4 times, highlighting again how absolutely ruthlessly Exodia is targeting the squishies on the opponent's team in every single team fight. They've done so in game number 1, by the way, with Anna and a few others, but now they're doing the same here on the second map on Dragonshire. And it seems like this is where map 2 is going to come to a conclusion already. Rospedol just can't really defend this. They've been pummeled around throughout the entire game, 15 kills to 2. And this is the end, a 2-0 lead in the series for Exodia as they take the victory on Dragonshire. GG. Coming up next, we have game number 3 for you guys. Before we go, a big shout out to everybody that is supporting the channel on patreon.com/Khaldor. Really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you very, very much. If you want to support the channel, if you want to support our efforts to keep the Heroes of the Storm esports scene live with all of the events and tournaments that we're hosting, then please consider to check out patreon.com/Khaldor and support the channel there. It's the best way to support all of the things that we're currently doing for the scene and plan to do in the future. With that being said, enjoy the next game of the series. The third map and the final map in our match here today between Rospedol and Exodia, and we're going to Infernal Shrines. On the left, we got Machko for the blue team in desperate need of a victory with ETC. Arian is playing Mephisto. We got Atrax on Sonya. Bronek with the Flames of Fury in level 1 going full into a Flame Buffet build with Alexstrasza. And then Lavekal on Zarya. So we get that Zarya comp over here. As on the right side, we got Disciple for Exodia with Kel'Thas. Dino is playing Carrigan. Yasuo and Deckard Cain. Hunter Orc on Leoki, and Imperius gets played by Hazu. So they're currently looking at a pretty solid front line with 3 heroes just sharing the workload a little bit. Now, this is obviously the last moment for Rospedol to get a point in this series. A quick reminder that this isn't a best of 3 or best of 5 series, anything of the sorts. We're playing out every single map, and each map represents a point for the leaderboard. So even when you're already down 0-2, you can still get yourself a point if you just win one map here. So the blue team should throw everything that they have now against Exodia to at least try and make that happen. And they actually get first blood. They're able to move in and take Carrigan out. So Carrigan eliminated. Dino insta-dead. And that's a halfway decent start. Now, not really worth tons, but I was about to say a second kill would go a long way. And they get it! Nice! They're able to take down Kel'Thas too. Love it. That's 2 kills to 0, and Rospedol coming out swinging after they suffered a loss in on the second map now as well. Mid lane, that's where Atrax still needs to be a bit cautious. Went on level 1 straight into tough as nails. And then down at the bottom of the map, we got Dino. I still like, I mean, I've seen some pretty decent synergy plays now with that particular mount, and also with the color palette that's being played here with the tint. Doesn't really look too bad in Dino 2. I mean, it's not a money pick, don't get me wrong, but still, that's quite nice. So with now level 3 on both sides, the play at the bottom of the map still continues as we have the defense set all up. The side lane obviously open, one of the towers nearly destroyed, but our first objective, as it will be announced in roughly half a minute, is spawning at the bottom of the map. Then again, seems like Sonya might be in a little bit of trouble. And Atrax goes down. So, Atrax eliminated, and they make a play also for Arian here. Arian is a bit low, and that's Mephisto eliminated. So now that we just saw 2 kills for Rospedol, all of a sudden it's Exodia that gets themselves a double kill and is trying to follow that up with even further ones, and they are going for Zarya, and they're able to take her. So that's 3 kills to 2. And all the hopes that we had for the blue team, don't want to say they all evaporated, but they definitely were dampened quite significantly. The timing here was also absolutely perfect. Zarya without Garrosh, not going into the speed build. We have together, we are strong on level 1, and then Gimme 20 on level 4. As we're now matching icons again on the talents. With the objective now up, And the lead in experience going to the red team, thanks to the kills that they just locked in. The danger is, of course, that early level 7 talent that they will surely get. And they will play around that. All the way up at the top left, we now have Bronek, Lavakal going for their own mercenary camp. The same has already been done by Exodia. So the camps collide topside, with Kerrigan apparently trying to give them a bit of a head start there. Trying to take those shamans out. Down at the bottom of the map, Leo, early active on the shrine, gets them the initial points. And this is actually working quite well for them. They're taking the lead on the objective, even though they only have 4 heroes present at the bottom of the map. They poke from the outside with Disciple, and now Kerrigan is pushing at the top with the camp. So this is already a lot of value in structures, and the team at the bot lane is still doing pretty okay getting minion stacks for this. We have the Sunfire enchantment for Kel'Thas on level 7, now that the red team has claimed the lead in experience and talents. But while it's definitely possible for the blue team to get the objective here, I have to say, the pressure at the top is now accumulated on the fort itself. So this is a fort that might even be destroyed here. Dino is now sitting in the middle of the map with Kerrigan, but as the blue team gets the objective and has to now try to get value down here, this has really paid off. The push eliminated the wall, nearly eliminated the fort too. If Kerrigan would have stayed a bit longer at the top lane, they would have been able to take that structure out 100%. Down at the bottom of the map, the fight on the other hand starts to focus on the Mephisto, and he doesn't stand a chance here. Absolutely not. With all that CC follow-up that we're getting from the red team, including of course Deckard Cain, this is just super difficult for Rosberg to navigate, and you can see how they're struggling here. There's a bit of damage done towards that fort, but they're losing more heroes as all of that plays out. Zarya gets crushed as well. That's 5 kills to 2 now. And while the Punisher gets a decent amount of damage in against the objective, if you put all those things together, then this was still a massive, massive win for Exodia. And it gets reflected in the current experience from the two teams. I mean, we're talking 1.5 level advantages once again. The minion experience is heavily tilted in favor of the red team, so is the hero experience, of course. And when we're talking about structural experience, this will change soon too. With Leoric now pushing for the top lane, he is going to get that fort. Sonya is starting to move in and trying to prevent it. But Hunter Orc, if he lingers around a bit longer, is definitely going to be able to get this one. So he gets the shots out here very easily, can ghost out, is most likely not even going to die. But even if he traded his life here, he's still going to be totally fine. They have a level 10 ability now as well, which helps for that potential fight at the bottom of the map that is now breaking out close to the camp. Might be the end of ETC. They needed Kerrigan here, and well, she's just now arriving. Is Dino gonna be able to get there? No. Gets dismounted and isn't able to close the gap in time. That was still super dangerous for ETC. And yeah, and Tomb had already been used by Leoric, or this could have been the end of the Prime Evil. He definitely was going for a shot there. Now at the top right, Leoric still playing this one pretty cool. 6 stacks for Zarya on her level 4. And in the middle, the aggression from Exodia as they want to go for the kill. And they take Mephisto out. Mephisto is gone. And they still don't have level 10. It's a brutal way, honestly, of a team taking such an early game lead. With 2 levels of an advantage, Exodia is just looking great here. It's a level until Rospedal gets their own heroic abilities, and up to the point where they finally have those in play, they won't be able to do a lot. This is a big problem that they're currently facing right now. They just can't really do a whole lot in that situation here, because moving out onto the map is basically giving the opponent exactly what they want, and you're getting slaughtered in a team fight where they can rely on heroics and you just can't. So they have to play this very, very careful now. Over on the red side, we got Hazu and Disciple going for the next camp. Obviously, we have the top side objective soon going to be announced. At least for that, we'll have Rospedal with level 10. The big problem, of course, will be that Exodia is likely locking in a level 13 talent for the objective fight, and there's just no way for Rospedal to get there. Especially since on the top lane, we also currently have no fort left. So the fort is also gone, meaning no fountain. So it's a really, really tough one for them to navigate. Fight breaking out again. Very nice Entomb over the wall from Hunter Orc, beautifully trapping them. Kerrigan is jumping in. The Gravity Labs, another fantastic CC tool for them. Zarya, Mephisto are both dead. Kerrigan dies as a counter kill, but they lose ETC and they lose Sonya just a moment later. Alexstrasza is being followed now too. They get a kill on Leorki, but Alexstrasza is still totally fine. But look at that fight. I mean, they are all in the choke point, and the red team exploits it from start to finish. Starting off with that beautiful entomb that we saw from Leoric to force the fight. And then, of course, all of that AoE damage. We got the Living Bombs. We got the Flame Strike there. Kerrigan with the combos. Gravity Labs and another amazing CC tool that they had at the same time, too. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on in favor of the red team. And they have now 10 kills to 4 and essentially a 2-level advantage over their opponent. The objective at the top should easily go to them. They are applying more pressure on Machko now, too. Okay. Khaldor, he might be in trouble as well, but Disciple is trying to turn it again, and does, and gets the kill. Beautiful play by him. Disciple turning it on ETC and dropping him as Kerrigan took care of Alexstrasza. So that's now 13 kills to 4, with Mephisto being taken down here. Great performance from Exodia. They are one of the favorites, of course, for the tournament, and this very much so illustrates why that is. The push in the middle will likely take out the fort now, as they are moving in for more heroes. They are obliterating Zarya, and they try to take down Itrax too. And Sonya just doesn't have anything to keep herself alive long enough. The Arcane Punisher at the top lane has now been taken. In the middle, we're seeing the fort eliminated. So this one is going to get murdered. And this is just great for the red team. They have a fantastic game currently. And for Rospedol, with 3 levels of a gap between the two teams, what they really need is just a chance to somehow come through here and win a team fight. If they can lure them in a little bit deep and win one of the big battles for now, that would of course be the dream. Just come in, try and take down a few of the heroes and maybe get a bit of a snowball. In the late game when death hammers have been increased, that's definitely possible. But it's not necessarily going to be easy, especially now with Machko being targeted again and falling, and level 16 being ready for Exodia. It just turns into a nightmare. This is a 2-level advantage, 2-talent advantage that we now have for the blue team. They kill Kerrigan, but they lose Mephisto, and they're likely now also going to lose the keep at the top of the map. So the situation is more than a little bit dire of what we're currently seeing here. It's an absolute disaster for the team in blue. They're not going to win a map today. Exodia is just too strong. They can't take them down. And even if the red team has to fall back here for a little bit longer with Kerrigan missing, I just don't think that's a way to recover. Rospedol has to really... they have to really force a great team fight. That's why they're chasing currently, because they're hoping that they can turn this into a 5 versus 4. A good mosh pit could have been the solution, but it gets instantly interrupted. So Machko isn't able to get value out of his ult, and while he's looking for the next power slide, Sonya is targeted and killed. It's 19 kills to 5 now. Exodia is willing to fall back for a bit longer so that they don't risk anything on the core. One of the biggest issues and biggest ways to throw a game is, of course, to be over-eager when you are trying to go and finish the game. Get wiped on the core, and then your opponent has a lot of momentum and was able to also get tons of experience. But they just simply fall back, realize that they can't push it that far yet. Go for camps, control the map, have a few more structures that they can take out. And, yep. That's now 19 to 5 that we currently have here in regards to kills. A 3-level gap between the teams now still maintained. And by the time being, or for now, we actually have also the Celestial Swiftness in. We talked a little bit about talents earlier, with 30 now finally ready. We got Shard of Hate, and the build for Sonya with a full whirlwind focus is also a bit more in. Ruthless is taken out as a talent, but even that is not going to keep her alive, I think. We have Mephisto getting targeted again. Sonya gets dropped. Kerrigan. There's so much CC. It's honestly disgusting at this point. Especially these Gravity Labs follow-ups that we've had now several times are just beautifully well coordinated. So that's 3 heroes now down, and they're just pushing more aggressively through this. 22 kills to 5, and ETC in particular is just never going to be able to land a proper mosh pit, I feel. There's too many interrupts. Basically every single hero over there has some CC tool that he can contribute in a team fight, and you can see how the blue team is just struggling to keep the team alive. 23 kills to 5, and well, that's gonna be the fort or the keep in the middle. They're not going to push for the core right away from the looks of it. They want to have a bit more map dominance first. Might even go for the objective in the mid lane to end the game here. Dino, by the way, yeah, he's dead. Dino gets killed by Mephisto, coming back and being able to drop his ult. And it seems like they can hold on to that keep for a bit longer. You gotta give them some credit. You gotta give Rospierdoll some credit here. I mean, they are really, really doing their best. They're really doing their best. They are trying to push, they're trying to defend, they're trying to take opportunities wherever they present themselves, and they get Leoric now too. Now that brings them a little bit closer, but, well, at the same time, is this objective something that they can lock in or not? Because they might just have enough time. Leo's, of course, going to be back. Kerrigan down for 15 seconds. Maybe they can start a bit of a comeback here. Get that Frozen Punisher and try to gain some momentum. It doesn't change the fact that it's still a 3-level disadvantage, and bridging that is not going to be easy, even if they're able to take down a fort or so. But, yeah, with that, we're now having very, very quickly the attack on... the attack on the Frozen Punisher concluded. The blue team is able to get it. Down at the bottom of the map, we're now having Hazo Ops pushing for the last remaining outer structure. Gets the minion wave at least in. Would have loved an auto attack here. I always like when they at least try and trigger the Inspire buff. Not that this is really the most important thing to focus on right now. Would have been a nice extra though. Bronic is barely able to get out of the fight, but apparently is able to survive. Yeah, Imperius is trying to go for him and is able to take him down. So, with that, we now have 27 kills to 7. I kind of feel a little bit for them. The last hero standing is now also about to be eliminated. So it's a 5-man team wipe. The Punisher, all alone. Sad moment for it. Trying to push, but the core has already taken damage to the Winions alone. And now that the red team is moving in, they are starting to claim this one too. So 28 kills to 7. Great finish here for Exodia. Level 20 to 16 as they lock in the 3rd point in this series against Rospierdoll. Nicely done, GG, and well played.